Neighbor leaves rude note on mom's car but she gets the last laugh. As Sam was about to enter her car, she spotted a small piece of paper on the windshield. When she saw what was written on the note, it made her blood boil. How could people be so heartless? She couldn't believe what she was reading. There was no way she could let this slide. She was determined to have the last laugh. There are many things a neighbor can do that can drive someone crazy. Sometimes they party all night long without considering the needs of other people. Others stomp at odd hours of the day. Rude, inconsiderate neighbors can make your life a living hell, and this is what happened to Sam Holmes. Sam has lived in the same neighborhood in Norfolk, UK, for many years and never had any problems with her neighbors. So when she found the note from her neighbor on her car's windshield, she was shaken to the core. Whoever wrote that mean letter to her showed no mercy. When Norfolk went into lockdown to stop the spread of the novel coronavirus, the community faced many restrictions. No one was allowed to leave their residence unless they had a justifiable reason to do so. Sam understood that social distancing was the only way to put it to an end, but there was one problem. With every passing day, the COVID-19 cases were rising and rising. Sam was horrified when she saw the UK cases hitting the 500,000 mark. After that, the lockdown restrictions became even tighter. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Sam still drove to work every day. She didn't know that someone was watching her every move. Sam was aware that she was risking her health, but she didn't have a choice. She was only trying to survive, like many other people. She would have never expected that her neighbor would do something so evil to her. After reading the note from her neighbor, she lost faith in humanity. Sam was hurt by her neighbor's message. This person knew nothing about her and was so quick to judge her. Sam was going through a rough time in the last couple of weeks, so when she read the note, it was the last straw. To the selfish person, the note began. The author of the letter clearly had no idea what Sam was doing for a living. They assumed she simply broke the laws and regulations by going out every day. The mysterious neighbor was upset by Sam's actions, and instead of talking to her, they decided to voice their strong opinion right away. Sam couldn't believe what she was reading. "I have been watching you travel every day in your car," the note said. "You are not in uniform, so this is clearly unessential travel. You are part of the problem. Stay at home and protect our country and NHS. You have been reported." By that point, she was raging. How could a random person who knows absolutely nothing about her life make her feel guilty like that? Sam wasn't going to let the stranger get away with it. She wanted revenge. She grabbed the cowardly note, took a photo of it, and drove to work. As soon as Sam arrived at work, she started typing on her computer. As a nurse working for the British National Health Service, Sam has dedicated her life to giving and surviving humanity. It has been especially difficult for her with more and more coronavirus patients arriving every hour, which was why she was so upset when she found the note. She was driving to work to save lives, not to have fun with her friends, as her neighbor probably assumed. "I don't usually post much personal stuff on social media, but I'm hoping that sharing this on here will reach the idiot that left me this note on my car," she said in her post. Sam continued writing, "Most importantly, I work for the NHS. I go to work every day supporting our country and have done for many years. While you are clearly spending your days watching me, probably claiming that you're employed as a full-time mommy," she typed with tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you just approach me and ask me what I was doing? Maybe then you would understand why I am getting up every day to work for the NHS," she continued. In her post, Sam also explained why she wasn't wearing her uniform driving to and from the hospital. She wrote, "Why on earth would I wear my uniform to and from work at this current time? Equally, not all NHS staff have to wear a uniform, food for thought. If this has reached you, hopefully now you feel like a complete fool and that you should think twice before sticking your nose into other people's business," Sam explained. Soon after uploading her post on Facebook, Sam began receiving a lot of replies from people. More than 28,000 Facebook users have shared her post. People empathize with her and urged others to think twice before saying or doing anything that might hurt someone. However, some users sided with the neighbor. They pointed out that the neighbor probably had good intentions and wanted to explain how crucial it is to follow the rules. However, most people agreed this person could have expressed their opinion in a much nicer way. One user who was stunned by the rude message also shared their opinion. There are people who are genuinely terrified of this virus because of the media hype and think everyone who is out is in the wrong and part of the problem, the person wrote. Others pointed out uniform protocol instead. The person who wrote the letter is obviously unaware that many key NHS workers travel to work in their own clothes and get changed at work, another user commented. The messages of support kept coming every hour. If you wear scrubs at work, for instance, they would have to stay at work, another person wrote. One user wrote, obviously, the neighbor doesn't know her neighbors. Why would uniform-wearing medical staff wear gear worn inside wards outside of work and risk sharing any viruses? Should use her brains and support, not write anonymous notes. Whoever wrote this note didn't know what Sam does for a living. The outcome might have been very different if the neighbor had spoken to her about it instead of writing a rude message. Shows just how cowardly she is by not putting her name to the letter. She obviously has nothing better to do. Keep up the good work. It is appreciated by the majority, another user wrote. However, Sam isn't the only one to wake up to an unexpected note on the windshield of her car. For this man, a note was left on his car for a completely different reason, and his girlfriend was quick to jump on the case. Having had a few drinks the night before and leaving his car at the bar, his memory was a little hazy about what had happened. Art graduate Austin Martin told his girlfriend he had plans to meet up with a friend at Union Bar and Grill in Gering, Nebraska. When he woke up the next day and looked out of the window, he vaguely remembered leaving his truck at the bar, so asked his girlfriend Janelle to give him a ride to collect it. But he never imagined such an ordinary story would soon go viral. As the couple pulled into the parking lot, Janelle spotted something on the windshield under the wiper. It wasn't usual for people to post flyers in the area, so she knew instantly that it was something personal. Austin was still feeling a little worse for wear after the night he'd had, so didn't even notice the note. Which was just as well for Janelle, who was determined to get to it first. Janelle pulled up right next to Austin's truck, making sure the driver's door was closest to her boyfriend's vehicle. By the time Austin knew what was going on, Janelle was out of the door with the note in her hands. Austin stared at her reading the message, confused. And then it all came flooding back to him. Austin had been really looking forward to the night out. He hadn't seen his friend from college for months, and although he'd told himself he wasn't going to have a drink so he could drive home, one thing led to another, and before he knew it, he was over the limit. The next thing he knew, he'd woken up at home and his truck wasn't where he usually parked it. But the mysterious note would soon fill in the gaps. Gering doesn't have a cab service, and ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft don't operate there, so if Austin wasn't able to drive home, he would have had to get a ride from someone who hadn't been drinking that evening. And it's exactly this that led to someone placing the note on his truck windshield. As Janelle read the note out loud, it was clear that it hadn't been written by someone Austin knew. "Dear Union Bar and Grill Park guest," the letter began. "Just wanted to thank you for leaving your car parked overnight." Austin started to sweat. Did he not do the right thing to leave the car there? Would he be fined? "Let me take a look at that," said Austin, desperate to see what kind of trouble he was in. But Janelle was also keen to find out what her boyfriend had been up to that would prompt a stranger to leave a note on his car. She continued reading aloud while Austin braced himself to face the music. Seeing the note, Janelle's paranoia had gotten the better of her. Her boyfriend had come home drunk the night before after saying he was going to stay sober. Then when she drives him back to pick up his vehicle, there's a note on his windshield. But fortunately for her, the message was actually a very pleasant surprise. "I'm not sure if you consumed alcohol at our restaurant or not, but we want to thank you for not drinking and driving," the note continued. The message had been written by bar owners Scott and Carla Swanson as a way to reward customers who were responsible drivers. But that's not all they had to say. "Bring this letter to the bar and we will give you a hamburger and French fries," read the letter. "Please accept this as a thank you for being responsible. Life is valuable, have a great day. Scott and Carla Swanson, the Union Bar and Grill owners." Janelle was floored by the gesture and was quick to share her thoughts on social media. "More bars should take note from Scott and Carla Swanson," Janelle said on Facebook, along with a photo of the kind note. The post went viral, attracting more than 26,000 likes, 1,500 comments, and 53,000 shares. But the owners themselves are a bit confused as to why the note has garnered quite so much attention. "Why it went viral this time, I have no idea because it's been posted a lot of other times," said Scott, explaining that they'd actually been doing this for some time. Carla and I pulled into the parking lot a couple of years ago, Scott continued. We had a pretty good night the night before and there were 10 cars in the parking lot. Carla mentioned that we ought to think of something to do for the people that are responsible. And his wife is delighted by the response. Carla is thrilled that the note has gone viral, because she hopes other bars might do the same thing and help fight drink driving. The more we can do away with people driving and drinking, it's better for every community, Carla added. My message to them is don't drink and drive and get a ride if you've been drinking too much. But the pair don't do it all the time, and for good reason. Scott said that while they love spreading the message that it's okay for customers to leave their cars overnight to avoid a drunken trip home, it's not something they can do for everyone because eventually, drinkers would start doing it just to get a free lunch. Surely no one would abuse the hospitality of such good-intentioned folk.